So he comes out and says, okay, what do you say? And he's like, oh, I've got stress fractures and I've got to stop and I've got to go for an MRI tomorrow. I'm going to tell you a little story. And he's like, okay. I trained a guy for 10 years. He goes back from the first round. He says to his coach, I think I broke my hand. If I was in the corner, I would have said, go and break your effing hand and let's see what happens. Because if you win and you break your hand, you still won't be able to fight, but you're not going to die wondering. So what I'm going to say to you is, you're not going for no MRI tomorrow. You're going to run until you break your foot.
Well, I don't know about you, W, but that just made me want to run. So, like, if that didn't help you...
It makes me want to cry. I've noticed that a lot of the runs are with charity. Any specific reason why mental health?
For me doing what I do makes me feel amazing, and I'm like, if I could just give someone like a slither of that, I think that'd be really cool. And I repeat this, what Billy said when he said if you want to achieve this, you're gonna have to go to a place that your opponent's not willing to go. That hit me, and I was like, all right, like if I'm gonna do this, I have to go to a place where most people aren't willing to go.
We get there and he's like, all right, let's go. I'm like, what do you mean, let's go? He's like, you got to run. I'm like, dude, you know I can't run. My knee is broken. It's fractured. And he looks at me and goes, run till you break it. I'm like, motherfucker.
Let's connect.
Yeah, baby.
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the Connect podcast, and I'm here with your favourite hosts, Patrick from Oztech Sparks, Ron from RP Wealth, and myself, Ben from Shadow Fitness Club. And today we have two special guests here on the show for episode 25, which is a bit of a milestone, I think, for us. Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Episode 25. But today we are here with none other than Coach Nudge. Nudge looking like a bodyguard today here. But Nudge is the Youth New South Wales Futures Coach of Boxing. He also coaches a great program with those young athletes. But he also, to the right of him, is here with Darby Maguire. Now, Darby, the story's epic. You know, he ran from Coolangatta to Cronulla. It's a 60-kilometre run. He raised money for mental health.
60 kilometres?
60 kilometres, mate. I think
Yeah.
you're a bit off there.
How many was it?
Coolangatta to
Mate, it's like 6,000.
Okay, so it's good. It's also good to fact check
million.
before you do this.
Yeah.
But Darby, you tell us how far it was. How are you, Darby? Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me. It was 890 kilometres, 900 kilometres, and it was 60 kilometres every day.
Okay, so I was nowhere near. I knew there was a 60 involved in
The
that.
number was there. It was just
close.
the wrong one.
Yeah.
No, it was
every day.
Thanks for
Darby.
having me.
Darby, tell us, what makes you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do something like this? Like, were you a runner previous to this, or how did you get on this journey?
No, so I was never a runner. I mean, even since meeting Nudge, I wasn't even a runner. In the last year and a half, I picked up running just as a bit of a hobby, and always kind of wanted to take it to like the next level, but not really in the sense of like getting times down and stuff. But I just became obsessed with pushing my body physically to the absolute maximum. And with that obviously comes pushing your mind as well. But it sort of developed into this idea from seeing other people do crazy stuff and realizing that there's actually people out there doing it. And then doing it yourself leads you to just snowball into getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's where that 900 kilometre run came from.
900
which was a year into running. So after a year of running, I did that.
I think Ron struggles to run about 9 metres. So
Yeah. Well, when you said 60 kilometres, I was like, okay, I can maybe do that.
there's no chance you could do that.
kilometres.
Over a year. Give me a year, I can do it. Yeah.
So, Coach Nudge. So, who's Coach Nudge to you, Darby?
So Coach Nudge is like, well, I consider him like a stepdad figure to me.
That's why he's been running since.
father
Remember, he
figure.
said since he's been.
But Coach Nudge is my girlfriend's stepdad, and he has been along for the journey of my running career thus far. Well, from the beginning of the running career to where we are now, which has been quite short. But I feel like a lot of Amy's side of the family has seen like the rawness of it, which has been really cool. It's been really, really awesome to sort of share that with a family, which is nice, other than my own, of course. But Nudge has been a figure that's influenced a lot of it, and a lot of those conversations and a lot of the conversations we have are sort of stemmed off the running stuff and the boxing stuff, which has been really cool.
Well, if you're looking for the right cornerman, I think you found him, mate. So just by default, huh?
100%. And a lot of the lessons I've learnt and a lot of the lessons I've learnt from my running have definitely been transferable in the conversations that we've had. And it's been very good having Nudge there to
Oh,
order me through the rain. No, definitely. Like it's a skill he's got. I'll give that to him. He's very good at getting people through things and showing people the right way to do something. And that was definitely applicable where I was running.
Well, let's take us back. You know, Darby as a kid. What are you like growing up, man? Are you?
I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn. I've always been stubborn, and I've always been athletic in terms of always done sport. Was into my surfing, loved my action sports, so always sort of loved pushing myself. But
You just needed a nudge in the right direction, right?
That's a good slogan.
Yeah, like I've always been into sport, love my surfing, love my like skateboarding, always been into that. But yeah, running came along much later in life. I was never a runner, never did like cross country or anything as a kid, never like was athletic in terms of track and field, never did any of that. It was purely a late teenage adult find for me. But yeah, me as a kid just grew up very normal. Very normal.
So did you get into running, or like did you have a mindset of ultra marathon? Because I think I was talking to you earlier and you said it wasn't really like even running, it was just straight to long distance. So how do you do that? Like where does the mentality come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me at the beginning, which is something that we've actually been talking a lot about lately, is transitioning into that more athletic side of ultra running and becoming more of a competitive ultra runner. But definitely at the beginning, which has been hard for me to actually make that transition, but at the beginning, a lot of it was more of a mental thing for me. So it was about seeing how far I could go, seeing what was at those certain numbers and check markers. Like you got your 30K, and then once you hit 30K, you're like, oh, I could probably do a marathon. And then you get there and then it just keeps going 50K, 60K, 70K until you get up to like 100 miles and stuff. But for me, it definitely did start with, I wasn't really like, oh, I want to do this to be fit. It was never any of that. It was definitely derived from me just being like, right, I need something in my life right now with where I'm at to test myself, to push myself to a limit. And ultra running for me was the quickest way to find it. I mean, you've got like so many different figures who already sort of talk about that, and that's very easy to get influenced by them, your Ned Brockmans and David Goggins and all that. Yeah. So hearing their stories was pretty cool for me. Coming out of high school, I was like, okay, wow, this is pretty sick. And then it took me a while, but got there in the end and I was like, all right, let's start. And I think my first ever run was from my house up to Sutherland, which was 1.2K. And then like within 3 months, I'd done the 7 half marathons in 7 days.
Within 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And then I did a marathon off the back of that on the 8th day. And then I did a training block for Coolangatta to Cronulla where I did an ultra every week for 5 weeks. Ran from my house to Wollongong. Then we did 60 kilometres every day for 15 days. And then I did Janali to Palm Beach, which was across from one south end of Sydney to the most northerly point of Sydney. And then we fed the homeless running marathons. So we did 2 marathons in 2 weeks where we ran out and fed homeless people all night. And then I just recently broke the Relay for Life record, which was 151 Ks in 24 hours.
Which is running for 24 hours, 24 non-stop.
Yeah.
No toilet breaks?
Yeah, I went to the toilet.
Were you still running like on the spot as you're doing that? Yeah.
That actually happens though, but I was never going to let that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so it did definitely snowball for me. Obviously, if I look at myself and my like running achievements, I would definitely say that my training's been quite unorthodox in terms of what most people would sort of do to get to that point.
Yeah.
I've definitely skipped a lot of it.
That's what we want to know about from you. What's in the back end? Yeah.
I need to jump in.
Yeah, because I saw the smirk.
I need to jump in. So to give you a little bit of history with Darby, I didn't really get him a whole lot when he first was introduced to myself. I just thought this kid's off his head and he's ADHD and stuff. And he's just like, but when he first started running, he had just mentioned that he was running. I was like, okay, well, yeah, it's just running.
Going for a run at the park.
But yeah, just running. But then within a very short period of time, he turned up one day and said, oh, Nudge, I'm thinking about running 7 half marathons. I'm like, what? So I'm going to run 7 half marathons in a row. And I'm like, well, why? He's like, I don't know, I just need a test, so I'm going to do it. And he's very humble. So he's quite humble in what he's achieved. But it sort of just evolved into this animal, if you like, And Andrea and myself, we didn't really get Darby a whole lot till his 21st. So when we went to his 21st, I left that night and I was so pleased because I listened to his mum speak, I listened to his sister speak, and I was like, now I know why he's crazy. So everything he's done since he could not even walk was this thing that I have to achieve, and failure's not an option. So I walked away going, that's why he's like he
Makes
is.
sense now, yeah.
It does, and it really did. And it was an eye-opener for me because I always liked the kid, but I'm like, this kid's off his head. There's something. Because he actually came over one night and he said, yeah, I'm going to run from Coolangatta to Cronulla. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. But I didn't say that to him.
I hope you've learned not to say that.
Well, I've never actually muttered it until now. But the interesting part, and a bit of the story that Darby neglects to tell you, and I don't know why, and I haven't heard him talk about it, is that he went through a stage in his preparation where he had ITB syndrome. So I've had that. You can barely walk, let alone run. So he had how many months out?
So it was like, it ended up being, so the training started, I started training probably 6 months out, and I could only train for the last, properly train for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And thankfully I have a really good running coach, Joe Ward. He's he's a madman himself, but I was every single week I'd be going down to Wollongong and there'd be, I think I'd good, and then go try run 5Ks and it's knees shot and it just it cripples you. You can't walk, can't run. And
is that something you picked up now, or is
no,
it
it's all gone now. It's so, I had it for up until 5 weeks, and then 5 weeks out I was feeling good, and then I just went straight into hardcore training. I was running every day. I did an ultra marathon every weekend. That's I was up 50, 60K run on a Sunday. And but yeah, definitely that for me was, I don't want to say I ever doubted whether or not I'd do it, because I was so certain of it. And that's sort of the way that what Nudge is explaining about, since I was a kid, I feel everything I do, I'm adamant that I'm going to do it anyway. But I feel you were more concerned that I wasn't going to do it than I ever was.
What's ITB? What's ITB syndrome?
So ITB is is it fascia?
Iliotibial band.
Yeah, it's like a rubbery band that runs down your thigh.
Yeah, it goes from your butt cheek pretty much into your quad, into your knee. So it's debilitating. I had it many years ago, and it's debilitating. The pain is in your knee. It's not anywhere else, and you cannot run. And it's extremely painful. So him being able to push through that, it wasn't that I ever doubted him. I hadn't heard of someone that had been running less than a year, because at the time, him saying this is what I'm going to do, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then when he went through that, I'm like, this kid doesn't understand. It's a physical thing. It doesn't matter how strong you are mentally. If your body breaks, you can't do it.
And Nudge, you coming from boxing, there's lots of people that come up to yourself, I'd say, over the years and have told you, they want to also do these, things where it's so far away for that particular person. So I can understand, lots of guys tell in boxing they want to, go to the Commonwealth Games, or, where without having the right mindset, discipline, it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind straight away is, I always say with boxing and, being around combat for over 30 years, and especially with boxing the last 23 years, always say people are in love with the fantasy, not the reality. And that's what it is. Everyone wants to be a fighter, or everyone wants to know a fighter, and it's the fantasy of it. And why wouldn't you want it? But, they look at the bright lights and people like Floyd Mayweather, and it's that's what I want. But the reality is you're a 1%er. So it's not that I ever doubted the kid, but when he was going to that injury, I'm like, it just doesn't go away. That finished, not that I was a great runner or anything, but, I ran from Wollongong to Shell Harbour, which was, that was 20 Ks. It was a big thing. But no, it's not that I doubted him, but even through that period, he was headstrong. He was like, I don't care if I don't have the ability to train, I'll still be okay. So, and then when sort of push come to shove and it was getting closer and closer, I'm like, man, he is crazy. He's going to give this a red hot crack. And off he went. And, the backstory as well, which I'm sure he'll talk to you about, is that anyone that does these kind of things have physios on board. They have a proper team behind them. They have, that they're in touch with, nutritionists and, everything that you should have. He did the opposite. His team was, his mum's partner, who was 70 years old, rode a pushy that he got from where
He found on the side of the road.
he rode a push bike behind him on the M1. His mum and Amy, his girlfriend, were the support crew, which was just insanity. His nutrition was horrendous. Just saying. But and we went up for 2 days. Andrea and I went up for 2 days, and just that 2 days was mind blowing. And I think what Darby hasn't realised, and I often refer to Muhammad Ali back in his day, and I'll refer to boxing all the time. I don't think he knew what he was doing. At the time, I don't think he knew the impact he was going to have, around the world.
Yeah.
And same thing with Darby, because he's so humble. But and I'm sure he'll tell you more of the story, but there's so many people that went on this run that have achieved things like what he did was unbelievable, mind-blowing. But there's so many of us that did things to support him, but then we were breaking all our records.
Yeah.
We did stuff that, was never going to happen. Andrea, my partner, never ran more than 5K. She ran 22 Ks one day to support him. I've never walked 42 Ks in 2 days, but I did it with a busted knee, mind you. And he made me run for a couple of Ks, and he made me run for a couple of days. But, there was things. And his mates who have never run half marathons ran marathons and stuff. So the importance of what he did, he raised a lot of money for mental health, which is amazing. But that's what I said to Darby. I don't think you'll realise until you're a little bit older and you get a sort of a little bit more mature and you're able to reflect on the impact that you've had on so many other people.
At such a young age, and you're only just starting, right? And even with doing the charity, because I've noticed that a lot of the runs are with charity. Any specific reason why mental health is one of the ones that you're focused on?
There's a few reasons. Like, I think mental health is something that I've seen like everyone goes through it, whether or not it's you personally or everyone has someone that's one person removed that's gone through it. And I feel like it's something that touches everyone. And for me doing what I do makes me feel amazing. And I'm like, if I could just give someone like a slither of that, I think that'd be really cool. And like even what Nudge is saying, you do these things and the money's great and that's awesome, but then it impacts everyone so much larger than that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the mental health, raising money for that, it's like, I just kind of want to show people that they can do these things and they can do whatever they want to do. And if they put their mind to it, they can. And I think it definitely starts with finding something that makes you feel good and rolling with that. And obviously, the money that I think it ended up being $50,000 went to a charity called Find Your Feet, and they are in schools. So I was like, all right, that's fitting. I'm a school teacher. I want to see where this money goes, and I want to see it be used in a way that I actually get to be there and be like, well, okay, this is the impact that I've had.
Are you a bit of a legend in school?
Oh no, the school that I worked at, I was actually on another placement. So I left a week after. I did a 10-week placement at a school, and then that ended, and like a week later I started the Coolangatta run. So I was training all through that, and like they were frothing it. They loved it.
Congratulations, because 50,000 is a huge amount.
That's great.
I appreciate that.
For a 21-year-old to raise that for a charity,
you talked a little bit about some mentors and some guys that you follow, like Ned Brockman and also David Goggins. How much of their influence impact you?
I definitely think it's like, they're really good people for getting ideas. Like that was one of the biggest things for me was like seeing Ned Brockman, especially his run from Perth to Sydney. I remember when I saw that ignited that flame in my head, and I was like, okay, I could do this. Like just immediately, just naivety to the max. I was like, I can do this. This will just, and then, so that was a big influence. But even further than that, like I've got people in my immediate life like Nudge, like my coach my coach is like a proper nutcase. Nudge has never met him, but he's a freak. He recently, I think he set like a Australian record for 24 hours. He ran like 240 kilometers in 24 hours. So I think when you start to sort of get into the world of ultra running and long endurance sports, you meet people who show you that anything's possible. And that bar is constantly being risen, whether or not it's by Ned Brockman, David Goggins. But for me, something I've realized over the last year of doing this is that like I'm starting to do it my way. Love Ned Brockman, love David Goggins, but when I do these things, what they're saying applies, but then you get out there and you're on the highway and it's 35, 40 degrees. Whatever David Goggins is saying is scrap. Like, you got to find your own thing, and you got to find something that applies to you and your life and your situation that you're in. And it'll be a much more effective outcome, I reckon.
Take us to that time where you completed the Coolangatta to Cronulla. What did that look like? It was 8 days back to back, wasn't it?
No, that was 15.
15 days. Sorry, man. Do you know why I got 8 days? Because I did a quick Google search. I did a Google Maps search before that, but 15 days. Okay. Day in,
What?
day
And
out.
it said on Google Maps it takes 8 days.
Something like that. I would have come across it. Maybe I read something else. But so day in, day out for 15 days straight, what did the nitty gritty of that all look like?
And what were you saying in your head?
Yeah. So like logistically, I'll start logistically. It's a fucking nightmare. Like logistically, it's so difficult in terms of, I mean, for one, you're literally on the highway. It's like you're running 60 Ks every day on the highway, which is like next level head noise. It's hot. There's cars, there's trucks. You can't stop anywhere. So for the first like few days, we would really just like raw dogging it. I was running full 60 Ks. I wouldn't see my support crew for like 40 kilometers at a time. I was just out there. The only person who was with me for the whole thing was my mum's partner. He rode the push bike that he found behind me, but he was probably like 100 meters behind me, I reckon. And
Did he find the push bike on the run?
no, he found it like a week before, and he taped what do they call it, a milk crate to it, and he carried all my water and stuff. But logistically, it's an absolute nightmare. But for me, the biggest part is like that pushing yourself mentally and physically. That was killer for me, which I'll get into that in a second. But so the first 5 days I ran the 60 Ks alone. And then the first person to rock up was Nudge and Andrea. They showed up at Coffs Harbour, and I had already like wanted to quit pretty much every day. So the first time I ever wanted to quit was day 2. I woke up, it was like 42 degrees or something on the highway. And like the bottom, like you could see the heat, the bottom of my shoes were like getting soft and like, cause it was that hot. And I remember I was sitting under a bridge. I'd pour water on myself and it would like dead set just evaporate like straight. It was impossible to cool down. And you're still,
like you said, on the highway, so the fumes of the trucks.
The M1, just like the Pacific Highway.
What's the body feeling like at that point when you?
It's funny, like on day 2, my body was fine, but that arguably makes it more difficult. I think one of the things I've found with ultra running is when you have like a real connection to your body and you can feel those little aches and niggles and pains, you get that sort of reasoning in your head to keep pushing. But day 2, I was running and like I ran past a sign that said Sydney was like 800 and something kilometers away, and that just like shot my mental. So I was sitting under a bridge. I was like, nah, can't do this. I was 30 Ks into day 2, and I pretty much like gave up mentally. And anyway, long story short, I ended up finishing that day, and I was like, right, I'm going to quit tomorrow. So every day this process was, I'll finish today and then I'll stop tomorrow. And as I was kind of running into Coffs Harbour, that's when my body actually started hurting. And when your body starts hurting, it sometimes makes it a bit easier to push because you can feel what's making you want to stop. But when you got no pain or like you got no little injuries or anything yet, you're in this back and forth with yourself. Like, I want to stop, but I got no reason. Like, I can keep running. So I think that is a big part of it. But for me, when I got to Coffs Harbour, they reckon I had stress fractures in my feet.
Oh my God.
I went to the physio and he was like, yeah, so you got stress fractures. And I was stoked when he said that. I was like, yeah, I get to stop, like get to hang the shoes up. You can call it. And then like half an hour later, Nudge rocked up, and then that plan changed.
Can you tell her?
Yeah.
Take us there. What Nudge? Take us there.
So I arrived in Coffs Harbour and went straight to the physio. He was like, he made me up some orthotics, and he's like, look, you've got stress fractures. Like the the little bones in your feet, they start to break after a while, and they literally, that's exactly what it feels like. And every step was just agony. Like I could barely walk, quite frankly. And I was like in a lot of pain. I had he shaped up an inner sole that pretty much lifted the front of my foot off the ground, so it wasn't touching whenever I'd run, because just to get like as little impact on those bones as possible. And yeah, the physio was kind of steering towards telling me to stop. He didn't want to say it, but he was kind of there. And then that was sort of music to my ears at that point, because I feel like in that moment you start to go a little bit delusional. And if anyone gives you a reason to out, like that's enough of a reason. So I was like, all right, cool. He's kind of told me to stop. I'll think of some bullshit excuse in my head and then call it. And then we got in the car. I was with Amy, got in the car, drove to our accommodation for that night, and Nudge was there sitting on the balcony.
I remember this very clearly.
And you can tell this part because my memory of it is.
When you first see him, Nudge, like, what's your thoughts of him at this point? What does he look like?
You know he's at the physio. You know what's happening.
we'd driven to Coffs Harbour, and we got there and we got to the accommodation. We weren't staying there. That's a whole nother story where we stayed. But so we drove there, and we'd been communicating with Amy, and she was in tears. She's like, you need to come. Like, this is not good.
So you weren't planning to go up there?
We'd always planned to be part of it, but we didn't know.
Not specifically get there for coffee.
No, it wasn't. We didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Just like Darby, there was no plan. So, So, we drive, and she was in, I don't even know if Darby knows the conversations we had with Amy, but she was in tears. She was like, he's going to quit. Like he's upset. Anyway, so we get there, and I still remember he pulls up. We were on the balcony. He pulls up. He's out of the car. He doesn't say hello. He's like, I've got to stop. I've got I've got stress fractures. I'm done. I'm like, hi, Dub. It's all good. Come up. And so he came up and said, go for a shower. He's like, oh, no. I said, just go for a shower. So we were in the room, and there was myself, Andrea, Amy, and Joe, which is Darby's mum, and Terry. So I said to his mum, can you just let me speak and just let me get through what I need to say to him, and no one just let me do what I got to do. And they're like, okay. So in my head, I knew what I was going to say because I knew he wanted to quit. So he comes out and I said, okay, what do you say? And he's like, oh, I've got stress fractures and I've got to stop and I've got to go for an MRI tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. And he's like, okay. I said, I trained a guy for 10 years to get him to the Commonwealth Games. And he's like, right. I said, he went to the Commonwealth Games, he made it. And what we went through to get there was amazing. It was what this kid's done, what this kid did to get to the Commonwealth Game was incredible. It's a great story. Anyway, so he said, okay. And I said, I trained him for 10 years. You've been running less than a year. 10 years. Got him to the Commonwealth Games. He won his first fight. In his second fight, he goes back from the first round. He says to his coach, I think I broke my hand. And the coach says to him, the Aussie coach at the time says, use it sparingly. And I said, if I was in the corner, I would have said, go and break your effing hand and let's see what happens. Because if you win and you break your hand, you still won't be able to fight, but you're not going to die wondering. You can go out and fight and break your hand and lose, but you're not going to die wondering. Or you could go out and fight and you could win and not break your hand and go on. So I said to Darby, that's what I would have said to him. So what I'm going to say to you is, you're not going for no MRI tomorrow. You're going to run until you break your foot. When your foot's broken, then you can stop because that's a legitimate excuse. You're running. So tomorrow morning, you're getting up at 4 or 4:30 and I'll see you there. We're going to come up with a plan to get you through the next couple of days, and we're going to walk and we're going to run, and someone's going to be there every 3.5 Ks, every 3.5 Ks. One of us is going to be there. Someone's going to run with you every 3.5 Ks, and I can't run, but I will walk with you. And that's what we did.
Well, I don't know about you, W, but that just made me want to run. So, like, if that didn't help you,
it makes me want to cry.
You got emotional.
I'm like, I would have been out before the stress fractures.
But I guess the crux of the story was, and I said this to him, what did you sign up for? You know, and that was, and Darby used that word naivety. But he said to me, and he forgets parts of these stories because he's still delusional from those 42 degrees. Before he went on the run, because Darby and I have some great conversations about mental toughness, and we talk a lot. And he said to me, and I'll never forget this. He said to me, "I'm actually looking forward to the day where I want to quit." I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like, "Oh, because I know it's going to be hard, so I want to test myself." And that was the other message I said to him. Remember what you said to me. You can't wait for that. Well, guess what? It's here. It's here. You're not quitting. You're not going to quit. Well, in the morning, away we go. And that's what we did. And the next 2 days, I got up the day after the first day, and I was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" I was busted.
But in saying that, if we put it back to you, Darby, what were you thinking now that you've heard that? Like you've switched off, right?
Yeah.
Mentally you've switched off, you've come
It's
out.
hard to reel it back. Like when you switch off like that, it gets really hard to reel it back. And I think that very night is what has like sculpted every single ultra running feat that I've done after that. That very like notion of I'm so excited for the hardest part has stuck with me through absolutely everything. And like
So that's what runs through your head when you talk about when you're going through your mental.
I literally remember we were sitting at your table having dinner, and I remember saying, "I'm so excited for the hardest part where I want to quit." And like that still rings true, but it's so hard to see it in the moment. But I remember we were sitting there, and like after that night, Ned Brockman sent me a video, Billy Dibb FaceTimed, and then like there was just a chain of events that happened that ended up leading me to continue going. But yeah, that next day I was like, I think I got lucky. Like a lot of things do come down to luck. I'm lucky that I trust Nudge. So I kind of, it took the anxiousness away of me being like, oh, I have to go do this. It was like, oh no, I can quit whenever I want. But now I got someone who's just going to organize it for me. So that is something where I got lucky. I think a lot of it is luck in terms of the timing of things, how it all plays out in ultra running. I call it, like people call it the ultra running gods, but like I always think that if you hold on for just a little bit longer, the ultra running gods give you a gift. And I think like that very night was that point. It was like, right, we're going to get through this. And then it's like, you go, here's your time to quit. Like, take the biscuit. And then it's as soon as you're like, nah, I'm not gonna, that's when it all comes. And that's when you get that moment of like, holy shit, I'm doing this. Like this is really happening. And I've experienced that time and time again, but like that night, every time I go back there, I'm like, we're back here.
Was there a moment when Nudge had that conversation with you where you were convinced you were quitting, that's it, and then Nudge had that conversation with you, straightened you out? Was there a moment where you were like, oh, fuck?
Yeah. That's like, for like the whole night, that night, I was like, oh man, I'm not quitting these next 2 days. I was like, I'm finishing these next 2 days, whether or not I want to or not. And yeah, I reckon had Nudge not been there, I think like I probably would have lost that little battle there. I don't know if I would have quit, if I wouldn't have quit, because it didn't happen. But I think that definitely if Nudge didn't show up and didn't talk to me that night, it would have been a very different outcome. Even just for like the sense of you're in such a heightened state that you need someone who knows how to talk to someone in that state of mind. Like in that moment, you're not thinking clearly, you're not thinking remotely rationally. So then to have someone come along and be like, right, this is how it's going to work. I always say, and I talk to Amy a lot about this, my partner's, she's doing a bodybuilding competition, and like a lot of the time she'll be struggling like with the mental side of it, being like, I can't do this. And I was like, just remember that you can quit. Like, just remember you can stop. So I think having someone come in there and take away that feeling of like, how am I going to organize this? Like, I can't get up and do it. It's like he was kind of making the decisions for those 2 days. All my job was to do was run.
And when I said you probably have one of the best cornermen, that you could possibly ever have, Nudge being, so experienced in boxing, both amateur and professionally, in the height of the ring, in the height of the moment, in the emotions flying, he has to keep his fighter level-headed, and that's why I say you probably had one of, the greatest of wingmen, come at the right time by the sounds of
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Like, I think that like Nudge was definitely that carrot at the end of the stick where it's like, if you can get through this, there's something here. But
So put in perspective where you are, like how long do you have left from that
10
moment?
days.
Yeah.
So I was five
Wow.
5 days in and I had 10 days left. And yeah, it's like, I think that point where you want to stop, it always like hits you a bit unexpectedly because you never know what it feels. It's like the same way that I remember when I was doing that, I was like, I'm never going to run again after this. And then like, I think 2 weeks later, I ran a marathon. So like, you don't remember those moments where you want to stop when you're in it. But then when you get back there, you're like, oh, this is what I signed up for. This is why I'm here. So I think that, yeah, for me, it was like just a matter of like taking myself to that place. And I think I just got right time, right person who just got me through that little.
What do you think that
hurdle.
is? What do you think that is? That
I
part
genuinely,
of you that just chases the hard.
yeah, I've unrelated to like that night in Coffs Harbour. I think that I've like just become so obsessed with chasing the hard and taking myself to that point and just seeing what lies beyond those little markers and indicators. Like there's, with every kilometer you run, with every step you take, there's just something there and there's something beyond that. And then there's something beyond that. And it just keeps going and going and going. And I think that it's a very profound experience. And I experienced this when I was in Coffs Harbour. It's a very profound feeling to think that you're done something and be physically done something, mentally done something. Not like, oh, I can't be arsed anymore, but be actually at the point of exhaustion where you can't go any further and then you just simply do. Like you just, it's there's something about that that's incredible. And I think that for me, like when I did the Coolangatta run, I was done at Coffs, but then I made it to Sydney. So I clearly wasn't done it when I was at Coffs Harbour. I proved that wrong. And then with the Relay for Life, I got to 100 Ks and I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like 100 Ks, I was going insane. You hallucinate, you're sleep deprived, eating's all whack, or throwing up in the bush. Like all this stuff's going wrong that's telling you you're done. Your body is naturally going to want to stop. Your mind's going to want to stop. You get taken to this place where you just don't, it's just so uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, like you're running guns blazing, like 4-minute pace. And you're like, well, I clearly wasn't done. So I think for me, it's become this test of like, all right, when am I actually done? Because so far, all I've done is thought I'm done and then prove that wrong. So I kind of feel like sometimes people sell themselves short and lie to themselves and think that they're done. And then if they just went that little bit further, but it's kind of a blessing and a curse now because moving forward with my next sort of ultra events, I'm like, I'm going to think I'm done. I know there's going to be a point where I'm going to be done, but I'll never actually know because on the day there'll be a time where I go out for an ultra marathon and I do think I'm finished and I probably pull the plug at some point in my life. And I reckon that'll be the day where I like just eternal dread of like, was I actually finished there? And yeah, I'm not looking to find that out anytime soon. So for me, it's at the moment, it's about pushing myself to the limit and taking my mind as far as I can and my body comes with me.
You think it's the body that gives up first or is it the mind that starts to have that?
Mind, 100% the mind. Like even, I mean, the physio told me that I had stress fractures and like there was something wrong with my foot, but I got to Cronulla and I was running. I mean, I looked pretty sweet running through there. And then, yeah, a week later I was back running. I ran a marathon. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that they go hand in hand. I definitely think that there's parts of your body that will shut down if you want it to. There's definitely parts of your mind that have a lot of control over your body. Like they call them walls in running. When you hit certain kilometer markers, you hit a wall and it's completely mental, but it feels physical. But it's an interesting sort of psychology that when you mentally are done or mentally exhausted, your body will go with it. So for me, the 80 and 100K wall is like the worst one and the 50K wall is the worst one. And when I hit the 100K wall, I remember because Relay for Life is just a loop. It's 150, I run 150 Ks, but it's just a loop. So it's a 400 meter loop over and over and over and over again.
Shit, is that harder than?
Oh, that is mind numbing.
It's like designed to be mind numbing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not actually designed to be run for 24 hours. But yeah.
And the task.
It's meant to be a team relay event, but I wanted to break the individual record. And I remember being at 100 Ks and I said to my mate who runs a lot of these ultras with me, I said to him, look, if I try to run right now, I will collapse and fall forward. Like that's what it feels like, your legs. So I think it's interesting for your body to be there, but then not even an hour later, I was back running. So it's like clearly, I think what happens is your brain goes into overdrive and it's like we need to stop whatever we're doing right now is not good. Like we're freaking out right now. So your body will, this is how I imagine it. I imagine it like it's you against your body. Your body's going to throw punches at you, telling you to stop, being like, stop, stop, stop. And then eventually, if you can just hold on that little bit longer, go one more step, go one more K, eventually your body gives up and it's like, you know what? We're here for this. Like I'm gonna.
In a weird way, is it a bit of an addiction? Like you just kind of need to push yourself a little bit more each time.
Yeah, I mean, like even in the conversations we have, I think that there's a little bit of that. Like everything I do now, even
It's a positive addiction.
Yeah, I mean, Nudge's young boy Levi, he's a legend, and he like even everything we do now is like transferred into like, oh, it's got to be that little step. He just ran 10 Ks every day for May. So I think that like.
Also doing 75 hard as well.
Yeah, now he's straight off the back of that into 75 hard. But I think like as a whole, like there's this kind of underlying thing where it's like everyone's got to keep pushing that little bit further, that little bit harder.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. They're good circles to be in.
100%.
I'd rather be in the circle of the guys that are doing that than the guys that aren't, you know.
And I think as well, like I've got like a bit of an addictive personality when it comes to that. when it comes to that sort of stuff, like it is, I mean, in my opinion, I'm addicted to the pain, but I also think it's beautiful. So like for me, I don't really try to live a life that is pain-free and is in that state of like, oh, this is just fun. Like, no, it's not fun. It sucks. I hate it, but I love it. And like, even though it's not fun and it's not necessarily something that is like a fast pleasure, it provides me with a lot of meaning, and taking myself back to that place every time. I feel like I do a lot of learning there, and I believe that there's things that lie there. And I think that like for me to be on my deathbed, never having ventured that far into my own mind, I'll be pretty annoyed about that.
See, hearing all this as a normal person, I think to myself, there's obviously a real deeper sense of purpose there. And it's beautiful what you're saying. And you can't doubt for a second the level of integrity that you bring to what you do. But what does running actually do for you?
I think for me, like running, I mean, it could be anything, I think. And that's kind of I think the best part about, I know the best part about running is that it's you versus you. Like definitely that part of this is literally me and it's up to me. I was talking before about like the completion rate of ultra marathons, and it's amazing when like Nudge talks about that idea of wanting the result, but then not wanting to go through it. For me, running is a concentrated version of just it's you on steroids. You get to meet you. You get to meet the very best version of yourself, and you get to take yourself to this place with just you. There's no opponent. There's no one you're versing. And like, even when we were talking about the completion rate, it's so low. Like there's
four people.
Yeah, 4 people at this one race, like 4 people out of like 150 finish. So like they're hard. They're not like ultras. These ultras that are out there aren't easy by any means. And it's not just like, oh, if you enter, you're going to do it. There's a lot of people that enter with that ambition of being like, oh yeah, I want to finish this. I want to do this. But then the second it gets to that point where it's like, here's what you wanted, it gets hard, then they quit. And I think that for me as well, like I've kind of adapted this, which me and Levi talk about a lot, is this idea that running for me isn't about finishing it. Like running for me, running a marathon isn't running a marathon. Running a marathon for me is kilometer 10 to kilometer 35, because that's when it's the hardest. A lot of people visualize it as like, oh, I'm going to cross the finish line. It's going to be great. I'm like, the finish line's 10 seconds long if you're lucky. Like for me, if you're going to go out and run 100 Ks, you best be ready for like kilometer 20 to 80, because that's when it gets dark.
So what's a marathon? What's a half marathon? What's an ultra marathon? Just
yeah. So a half marathon's 21.1 kilometers. A full marathon is 42.2 kilometers. and an ultra marathon is anything over 42.2 kilometers. But I tend to consider it 50 kilometers. So I feel like if you run 42.3, it doesn't count. But but I'm of the belief that it's around 50 kilometers. But by regulation, it's technically anything over 42.2, and there's no real dictating marker until like you get to a 100 miler.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, 100 miler still falls into that category of ultra marathon.
I think there's a beautiful thing in listening to, a young guy that is sort of living a life by design, stepping outside of the norm, doing things that most people probably wouldn't fathom doing, these distances, man. Like it's what seems normal for you now is actually like really cool to hear from our perspective, because these numbers and stats that you're doing are phenomenal, man.
Even just talking to you, I feel like I've run 10 kilometers, so I'm adding that to my steps.
Ron feels fitter by knowing you. Yeah.
Just talking to you.
It is
I feel like I've accomplished a lot today.
My question is actually with Nudge around how much this relates to boxing, given, your time in boxing and some of the caliber of athletes that you've coached. Like, how do you think this relates to the athlete?
Your thoughts on the addiction side of it.
Yeah, because I would say it's an addiction for a lot of fighters too, and obviously I've been in combat sports for quite some time too. And I've seen a lot of guys like you that just fall in love with the thrill and the adrenaline and just the rush of just pushing their bodies to the absolute limit and going that extra mile, So how do you think it relates to boxing?
I think personally it relates to life. And, you as you mature and get older, unfortunately, we all get there, and I'm there. And you view things very, very differently. I view things completely differently now in my 50s than I did in my 40s and when I was younger. Darby and I, like I said, we have some pretty intense conversations, and we were talking about can you achieve greatness in other sporting activities or the pinnacle of sport? And he was talking about trying something completely different just to see if it is a physical thing or a mental thing. So, and we have these great conversations. But what I said was, whether you believe in God or any other, whatever it is that we believe in, and I say God, I'm not overly religious, but I say God. And I honestly believe that all of us, everyone sitting here, we've been given something. It's up to us to find it. And yours is martial arts. I don't know you run that well.
Financial.
It's not sports. It's not sports.
Yeah, it's not running.
Financial planning.
Financial planning.
Yeah, financial planning. But I do believe it. Now, you're a successful young man in business. Maybe yours wasn't running, but you meant to do it.
This guy's doing 75.
He's on 75
twice.
Okay.
He's on to the second
But what I'm getting at is, and I said this at your
everyone has a
event the other night.
purpose.
Everyone has a purpose, but how do we measure success?
Yeah.
So Darby would probably never delve into doing what you're doing because he'd be like, I can't do that. There's no chance I'm going to risk everything I have and, like you said, pump money in your business and stuff like that. But relating it to boxing, I think it's the mental aspect is something that I've learned over the years, and like you, Benny, having a martial arts background is where I learnt it, and it's being pushed. When you're getting bashed in sparring, when your coach is bringing in people to bash you, after class to prove whether you should be there or not, and you getting whipped and then coming back for more and him saying who wants more. And then, you go outside and you want to cry because you just got beat up really badly. It's having that mentality. And I guess it's not for everybody. And, Darby, like I said, I call him crazy. He's not really crazy, but he's just got some crazy shit happening in his little brain. But being able to, and I say that, being able to, bottle it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And same thing with combat. When you have guys, like one of my guys, he was always told he was never going to be any good. You should quit. You're not good enough. And, his story is one where I got him at 21 fights. He had 9 wins. He hadn't won a fight for 2 years. And he had, 9 losses in a row or something. And I coached him for 3 months. The first thing I had to do was fix his head, but I was the only person other than him that believed that he could be successful. This kid won 11 fights straight with me and won the state title, came second in the country, blah, 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 went on to win national titles, went to the Commonwealth Games, turned professional. But he had something inside him too and you have to believe it. And when he come back, I still remember this, we had a gym. He got on the assault bike and his first session rode that hard that he made himself pass out. He shit himself and vomited on himself. And I said to him, why? And he said, I just got to know that I can do it. I still got to know I can do it. And so, there's certain people that have something that little bit different. And I think if you know how to bottle it, you know how to test it, you know how to enhance it, then you can be successful. But you've got to, Benny used the word circle before, and when Darby talks, it's cool because, like I said at the start of this, when you have people around you that you've influenced, like my son, Levi, he's lost 34 kilos in the last couple of years. He's done an amazing job, but he couldn't run. The first time he ran, he was like struggling to run a K or whatever it was. But then, this guy over here has had a big influence on him. And they used to have these arguments about, you can run a half marathon. And Levi's like, I can't. And Darby's like, why? It's no different than what I do and blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, I think when you ran with him, they ran like 15 Ks. And then, did he run his half?
Yeah, we ran a half together.
He ran his half marathon without really training for it.
He'd run like 5Ks or something, and then we ran a 10K, and then he didn't run for a while. And then, I think he's kind of getting that bug of like, I can actually do this. Like, this is possible. And I think it just comes down to self-belief. But we ended up running a half marathon, and now he did the 10 kilometers every day in May. And this is a kid who like, we get in full-blown arguments at the dinner table being like, he's like, I can't do it. I vaguely remember like we were all in this big argument and I was like, you can do it. And then he's like, I physically couldn't, like I could not physically, I'd collapse. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. But I think off the back of what you just said, I think the biggest part of it is just self-belief and just having one thing I feel like I'm very, very lucky to have. I didn't really get genetically gifted with height or anything, but one thing I'm very lucky to have is a really strong sense of self-belief, which for a lot of my ultra running ends up sort of becoming, and Nudge has seen this a lot, is this just bold assumption that I'm just going to do it. And it's like, I feel like I had this conversation actually a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about, someone asked, it was Levi. He asked me if I visualize myself finishing across like the finish line to get it done, like in those hard points. If I'm like, do I visualize myself crossing the finish line? I said, no. And I went on to explain that I visualize myself in the hardest part. Like when I'm preparing for something like this, I'm visualizing, and that's why I say I'm most excited for the hardest part. I visualize myself going to that place and getting all of that learning and getting all of that experience in that hard moment. I visualize myself there because I already assume I'm going to do it. Like I kind of have to put myself there because when it comes, it kicks you in the ass and you're like, oh, wow, this is what I signed up for. So I think people that get really hung up on visualizing winning and sort of skipping the hard part, when that tough part or that dark place does arrive, they're very shocked. So I think putting myself in that prior gives you this just assumption of self-belief that you're just going to do whatever you say you're going to do. And that bleeds into like a lot of, I think, what we talk about, like just zany, weird ideas that we end up coming up with. Levi's always thinking of him as well. And I feel like the little family unit's kind of always workshopping some weird shit to do.
That's awesome.
Mate, when you're shorter, you have to try harder as well. Yeah.
It's
We got it 50% harder than all the tall people in life.
Extra steps.
Like it's funny, hey, like a lot of the
True. He's going to run more.
You got to do double.
It's actually 1,000.
I think I was up like 70,000, 80,000 steps a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's go there. 10 days left. You're broken. You've just had, Coach Nudge give you the cornerman talk, right? You've gone to bed thinking, I'm going to do this, right? Wake up in the morning. When you get out on the road, do you have music in your ears? Like, are you doing this without any sort of podcasts or
Raw dog, huh?
Raw dog the whole
Raw
thing.
dog.
the whole way?
Whole way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The whole
well.
way. So no motivational in your ear the whole time. So you can hear the cars and the trucks and the gravel.
But are you looking at your surroundings or are you visualizing?
So I didn't have any music, no podcasts, nothing.
Is that by choice?
That's even harder.
Yeah.
It doesn't distract you away from what you're doing.
Yeah, nothing. I want to be there.
Yeah.
Because you're in your head. I've tried both. I run obviously with podcasts. I find that I can drift off and listen and
Yeah.
it helps me finish.
Yeah.
There are often times when I'll take it off and try to be really in my head. And man, 15 steps in, you're like, shit.
Yeah.
I think that's the story we need to be talking about. The raw dogging that long because that's
It makes it real, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I stopped at the car, there was Eye of the Tiger blaring.
So you woke up, you got 10 days left, you hit the track.
Yeah.
Like what happens from there? any significant moments, or is it 10 days?
Yeah, there was a
hard
few.
stop, just
I think I passed a Nudge for this one to explain the next
Yeah.
2 days.
Well, you were with him for 2 days, Nudge.
For 2 days.
How did you last for 2 days? Whatever. Tell us that. Were you in the car? Or were you in the...
No, man, I was like carrying him, and I did. No, I obviously said to Darby, you have got a legitimate injury, so we need to sort of, without going, against what his coach wanted. The thing I figured out was that the kid was running 60 kilometers in 42 degree heat. That's not normal. I don't think he was hydrating as good as he could have been. He did his best, but there were certain things that I couldn't see him finishing if he didn't change some things, at least for a couple of days. So the next 2 days we spent, he still ran most of it, but there were parts where I got him to walk. And then what it was like having a reward. So the one person that he needed to see was Amy. So every 3.5 Ks, there she was. And we came up with a way of pulling over the side of the road and making sure that we were safe. But having that was that little thing for him where it was like 3.5 Ks for this guy to run is nothing. It's nothing. He does it like, it's like, how long does it take him?
Like 2 minutes.
7 minutes he's there, right? So, the structure was to have someone there with him to get inside his head, to reassure, that. And I think it's the trust thing. But, it was hard. Like for me personally, because I've got a fractured knee. I've got a torn meniscus in my right and a fracture, and I've got a torn meniscus in my left. But I want to see this little part of the story because it's pretty funny. It's pretty cool. So after the first day, I could not move. Like I woke up in the morning, I'm like, holy shit, what's happened? This is bad. So I said to Andrea, I don't think I can. I don't think I can physically do it. And then when those words come out of my mouth, I'm like, hang on a minute.
Did Darby come over and give you the same speech you gave him?
All right.
I know this kid.
Give me those Nurofen. Anyway, so drugged up and off we go for day 2. And once we got in, it was okay. It wasn't too bad. But I think the importance of that was him. I think he finally realised in that 2 days that he was going to be okay. Having the support crew, changing the things up. I think the isolation was a big thing, to be honest, and you have too much time to think. And, man, I walked on that. I was walking and the roadkill, the smell of piss on the side of the road was really bad. But just the roadkill, the sense of danger that I felt was real. Yeah. Because, you got to think, he's not a big man. And how much do you weigh? Like 60 kilos or something? A truck that's quite a few ton going past at 110 kilometers an hour. It was scary. It was scary, but you sort of get used to it. And we started to get used to it. And then day 2, Channel 7 turns up. And they spoke with Darby, and then they said, look, at this sign, there's a 2 kilometre sign, 2 kilometres to the turn off at the servo. We're going to be there. So from there, can you make sure that, you're running and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, cool. So we get there and he's like, all right, let's go. I'm like, what do you mean, let's go? He's like, you got to run. I'm like, dude, I can't run. My knee is broken. It's fractured. And he looks at me and goes, run till you break it. I'm like, motherfucker. So I ran. I'd done some serious damage, but I ran.
Yeah. Because when you also Channel 7 are filming, you can't break down, right?
Well, hey, let me tell you, it was broken. It wasn't pretty. But I can tell you, and it was a mental thing. And even for me at my age, knowing that I shouldn't be doing it, I didn't do it for me. I did it for him. Mm-hmm. But I think all those little points along the way, like I said, Andrea running 22 Ks in a day, we did whatever we could to support him. And I think what that does mentally for him as well, I think because he's so wired differently, he wants to do it for himself.
Yeah.
But I think the seed that I tried to plant and it worked was that you need to do it for us too.
Yeah. To be honest, I was going to say, I think the running has actually maybe strengthened, it feels like it strengthened your relationships with your girlfriend, the family around the girlfriend, like everything. It just seems like it's improved your life so much more not just from you trying to hit the goals, but everything that comes with it.
Well, can I just say real quick, the beauty of it is, and this is what, again, we have our in-depth conversations, and I try to say to Darby, try and implement those lessons and what you learnt in that run in every other aspect of your life. You will succeed in anything that you want to do.
100%.
Because they're the lessons that you learnt. And again, like I said earlier on, we all learnt from this and we all getting goosebumps, but you know, you do stuff and it makes you realize that there's stuff that you can achieve where you didn't even think was possible. I didn't go there to walk 42 Ks. I didn't go there to run. I can assure you that. I went there to support him and to try and, you know, if I need to give him a pep talk, okay. But it was everything else that come off that and everyone that was touched. And the flow-on effect from that is the conversations that we have. It's not always related to his running, but it's like I said with Levi, you know, my daughter's walked 42 Ks for a charity thing. She'd never walked, I don't think, 5 Ks. You know, Andrea, Amy doing this bodybuilding stuff. So it has that
everyone else.
Absolutely. And it's that continuation of, you know, let's get it. And if I need to be inspired, I've only got to look to my right, there it is. I look to my left and there it is. So
it's pretty, I think one of the, when I have a look at my whole family unit, my mum and my sister as well, like they're all getting after it pretty hard as well. But especially like when I have these moments when we're at family dinners having these conversations, you're like sitting at this table with 6 people who are like actually like pushing it way further than most other people.
I'm coming for dinner on Saturday. I need to be at this table.
You got like a professional boxing coach, ultra marathon runner, 2 bodybuilders, this guy who's lost like 30. You should see photos of his son. It's insane. And like all at the same dinner table. It's a pretty cool family dynamic. And that definitely helps with, I can't slack off.
Yeah.
No, I can't slack off. If I drop the ball with my training, I'm the first to hear about it from everyone.
From the team.
Yeah. And it's really cool. And I think that those 2 days that we were out there definitely like brought us a lot closer together. And it was a very cool experience. And I remember when you were running, and I repeat this, what Billy said, when he said, if you want to achieve this, you're going to have to go to a place that your opponent's not willing to go. And I was like, that hit me. And I was like, all right, like if I'm going to do this, I have to go to a place where most people aren't willing to go. And I think that when you do that and when you're with other people, you sort of bring them with you. And that's what Nudge is talking about, where he came out and walked 42 kilometers, which he's obviously never done. And you bring that person with you. Then his partner, Andrea, comes out and runs a half marathon. You bring them with you. My partner, Amy probably had it the worst out of everyone. Amy and my mum, they were battling. Like they were there every single day. From day 5 onwards, they stopped every 3.5 kilometers on the highway. You take them and then the flow-on effect is now both of them are doing bodybuilding. Like you bring those people with you when you go to that dark place and you're like, hey, this is what it's about. We can all go here. And when you do it all together, it makes it a lot tighter. And after that, after those 2 days, I think like still had lots of dark moments, still had like moments where I wanted to quit, but I was like just very certain I was going to do it. And it's funny, like it's the reason I think that for me moving forward now with my ultra running career is that I'm so certain a lot of it's mental is I wanted to quit when I was on Barrenjoey Road in Palm Beach, which was 30 kilometers outside of Sydney. And I still wanted to quit. And I'm like, how is this? I had 50 Ks or something to go to Cronulla. And I was like, still being like, no, I can't do that. I want to quit. Like, fuck this. So it's interesting to me to be like, all right, even though like, and I say this to Levi, especially all the time, like we always have these conversations, and I have these conversations when I talk about my running and a lot of the things I've done, I talk about it. I say, you can complain as much as you want, but you're still going to do it. And I remember Alex, one of my mates, when he came up, I remember we stopped in Newcastle, I think it was. I stopped, I was complaining. I was like, I can't do this. My knees were all jacked. My feet were cooked. And he just like looked at me. He's like, why are you complaining? You know you're going to do it anyway. And I was like, fuck, he's right. I was like, oh, he's not wrong. Like I can complain as much. And me and Levi had that conversation. I was like, if you run this half marathon, I was like, we're going to run it, but where you can complain as much as you want. You can complain the whole time. You can complain the whole 21 Ks. You can complain. I'm not saying you can't complain, but you're going to show up, and you're going to show up for me. You're going to show up for yourself, especially, and you're going to show up and get the job done.
Tell me, crossing the finish line, Like I imagine there was no like tape there for you to run through on this particular. Or was there?
There was.
Okay. So what does that feel like? Like when
There
you
was like
just
a
get
lot
to
of, how
the
many
finish
people
line?
do you reckon were down there?
There was a few hundred.
Yeah, a few hundred people were at the finish line.
Wow.
It was actually very sad. Like a very again, I think going into it being like I want to visit this place in my mind. That's such a good feeling that it's like that's kind of not what I actually went there for. So I think the best part about finishing is what Nudge was talking about, which is the support. Like that is the most amazing part about finishing one of these things is the support you sort of see. You're like, wow, all of these people are here for me. All these people have been touched by whatever it is I'm doing. But
There's no relief. Or
That's a perfect example of it's not the, it's the journey, it's not the destination.
100. That's why I always say if you're going to run a marathon, you're not running 42 Ks, you're running 15 to 35 Ks because that's what a marathon is.
Yeah.
A marathon isn't crossing the finish line. A marathon isn't starting fresh when the gun goes off. A marathon is that middle part where you're battling and you're going through it. It's the same with anything. Like running from Coolangatta to Cronulla isn't starting at Coolangatta looking fresh and finishing with flying colours. It's when you're at Coffs Harbour with with your girlfriend's stepdad and you're nearly collapsing on the ground. Like that's what running from X to Y is. You know what I mean? It's not about the finish line. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great, but pretty much immediately after I was like, right, what am I doing next?
Yeah.
And that's after saying for 15 days that I'm never going to run again in my life. Like you immediately go into that, right, what's next?
You can see where you were saying at the start, he's just a nutter because it is a crazy mentality, right? This is crazy. Like, who do you think you are? I said it at the start. I was going to say it. This is where I'm going to say it.
What about the 24-hour run? How long after did you do that?
So that was like 3 weeks ago. And
Okay.
we had
It's relay for life.
we had that was like pretty much like no training, just straight into that one. Broke the record, but again, like that same feeling, we lost the record for about 2 hours there. We fell behind. We were like, nope, can't do it. And I lost it and I walked for a little bit. I fell asleep while running for the first time in my life. Fell asleep while I was running.
What?
Like micro sleeps or?
Like micro, you know, have you ever like kind of nodded off? Like that. And I was with Amy and I was running and I remember I was running. And then I was just like, I just fell asleep. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just don't remember any of that. I just was fully asleep.
Wow.
And so I think for me, it's like when you go to that place, like, I don't know. Like I'm smiling now like, because there's something there that I think everyone should experience. If you don't know, to know your limit is to know yourself. So I feel like if I get to the end of my life and I haven't pushed myself to that limit, I don't know myself. Like to get to that point of anything, doing anything, whether or not it's cycling, running, boxing, to bring yourself to a limit that is that extreme, that's where you know yourself.
I heard you say something before that I liked. When I asked you about the running, what sort of makes it for you? You said it's you versus you. Now I have a theory just listening to all this. It's as if you're addicted and connected to continually breaking through the limiting beliefs that come in the way. So whenever the thought of, nah, I can't do it, or I'm over this, I just want to quit or whatever, that's just a little micro limiting belief. And then you pushing through is just you breaking through that limiting belief and that barrier. Now, you also said something, Nudge, where you're like, this guy can, if he's pulled this off, imagine what else he can pull off in life. Everything else will be easier. And to me, it sounds like if this is a barrier that you've just constantly kept pushing through, anything in life outside of that just will become easier. That's my theory.
It already kind of like has, I think, every single time. My whole perception of like what is difficult for me now is just completely changed. I'm like, when you're taking yourself somewhere mentally and then physically, I feel like even for you, like boxing would be a huge one for this. You're getting in a ring and getting bashed. It's like, who the hell wants to go do that? Like makes going and sitting at a desk for 6 hours a day a lot easier. You know, if you're going and stepping into a ring to get your face punched in, like.
Yeah, I feel like when you test yourself to these levels, when life throws you those hardships, you feel like that you've already taken on the worst. So these don't seem, and I know, I get that. Like, I've had multiple black belt gradings now
And you're
every
still
time I
going,
walk-
and you've got a successful gym. You
Yeah.
like you don't need to prove yourself to anyone because you've got trainers, you've got a gym, and you're still grading, right?
Yeah, like
You're just
you
pushing
test yourself to the
Yeah.
worst, in front of the worst. That now when life throws me certain situations, like I feel like I can navigate it differently to others, you know. So I understand what you mean.
But what you said before, I know you were joking. Who do you think you are? He don't know.
Listen, this motherfucking Darby Maguire, man. I'll tell you who he is, man.
But I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe it takes you a long time.
Yeah.
It's taken me 57 years.
And you're only 21, right?
But
to
here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. He doesn't know who he is, but he's going to find out.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And he's finding out. No different to you. No
pretty
different to you. No different to you. He's just he's taking a different route.
Yeah.
That's all it is. We've done it sort of traditionally, if you like.
Yeah.
He's gone a different route.
and just
And the beauty of what
and breaking himself.
yeah,
doing
but
it.
the beauty of what this young man's doing is that I believe he'll find himself a lot quicker than what I did.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. So, and that's going to project him into whatever he decides to do. In the
Yeah, I love it, man.
And what is next? Like we've talked about everything in the past, and it's been an incredible story. But
Yeah.
what is next for you? Do you have?
Definitely like still pushing. I try to like every single time I go out to do anything, I always am sort of pushing myself to get to that point. But in terms of events, I've got in 2026, I think in early 2026, I'm doing the Delirious West, which is a 200-mile race through, I think it's WA, Western Australia, like somewhere on the border. It's 200 miles with a
Through
cut-off.
South Australia?
Yeah. So it's like a trail run. And then I think I'm doing the Sydney Ultra Marathon 80K. So a lot of them will be, I'm gearing towards more elite level ultra running and trying to pick up some work in that sort of field and place at some of those bigger events and get my name out in the community a bit more because, definitely happy with like my self-discovery events, but I think I am ready to take it sort of athletically to the next step, if you will.
I was going to say, what about Australia? Imagine running all the way around Australia.
Yeah, I know a guy who just did that, Sean Bell. He's a nutcase. 80 kilometers every day for like, I can't even remember how he did the entirety of mainland Australia, 80 kilometers every day, and then flew down to Tasmania like 2 days, 2 or 3 days later and did Tasmania.
There's Brooke McIntosh that's also done that.
Yeah, she's running around Australia as well. Yeah, she's like there's some freaky people out there. Like as I said, my coach, Joe, he's nuts. Like when you start to sort of get into this world, you start to meet these people who are doing it. And again, I think it's bad to compare yourself to others, but at the same time, like sometimes it works in your favor. I'm here, I've done 100 miles in 24 hours and my coach has done 240. So I'm like, well, if it's possible for him, it's possible for me.
Is it comparing or is it finding it inspiring?
I think it's inspiring, and I think it's, for me at least, like a lot of what I do is just based off like a simple idea. Like we always talk about when we're at the dinner table, like it'll be an idea and then that's it. It's happening. If you think about it, I think one of the biggest measures of my success is if I think I can do something, I'm only successful once I've done it. So just the sheer thought that, like yesterday with the mountain, like I just literally was I'm going to try climb a mountain and then did it. I didn't do it. I
Forgot to mention that
I
one.
was scared off by a deer. But point being is like, I think just having the sheer thought of like, I'm going to try do this, I'll only sort of measure my success once I've done it. So yeah, that keeps me going and keeps me hungry.
Insane.
From your coach, how much nutrition and sort of strength training do you have much of those in your program, or is it purely running on the track stuff?
And cheese and ham.
Because Nudge mentioned your nutrition was terrible, but do you need to be eating in a certain way for these things? Or should you?
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of different schools of thought around it. Like you'll meet some ultra runners who don't do that and don't strength train and whatnot. My coach, Joe, he coaches me a lot of mental and a lot of the running side of it. I think if I wanted to get a nutritionist, I'd have to go and get a nutritionist. If I wanted to get a strength coach, I'd have to go get a strength coach. But as for that, no, a lot of it from his side is the running because that's what he's good at. That's his thing. He's national champion, 24-hour. He had the fastest known time for running from Brisbane to Sydney. So like he lives and breathes running. So that's what I get from him. And I get a lot of my mental strategies for getting through these tough times from people like Nudge, people like him. But as for nutrition and strength training, it's pretty low at the moment. But I'm in the process, if you will, of getting that up to scratch. Yeah,
You're fucking nuts.
lived on cheese and bacon rolls.
Before we wrap up with Darby, I thought we'd come back to you. What's happening in Nudge's world at the moment? I know you've stepped into a life coaching sort of space, which I can firsthand attest to, the influence that you've had on with myself over the last couple of years of us spending some time together, and every conversation is always, so valuable, and I listen and take on everything you tell me. But, what's life for the future for Nudge?
Good question. So I've realised some time ago that mentoring and teaching boxing, you mentor the kids. I've dealt with a lot of kids who have, come from bad backgrounds, poor backgrounds. Predominantly that's what we get. So I don't know, I just sort of fell into that space where I realised that that's what I do. It's not just boxing. And I used to say to kids all the time, this is not about boxing for me. It's about what you can pass on, how you can mentor them, how you can change their lives. And that's why my argument about boxing is always very simple. When every few years some nutter comes out and says, oh, it's dangerous. We know it's dangerous. You're getting punched in the head. Oh, there's brain injuries. People die. Some people have died, yes, but people die playing rugby league. People have died on the soccer field. Doesn't matter what it is. So a friend of mine, Dan Hunt, he's got a business called the Mental Health Movement. So he actually put a young lady onto me a couple of years ago, and I started doing some work with her in the life coaching space. And away I went, and I did that for a while, and then I sort of went through a divorce, and went through that. So I wasn't great myself. So the last couple of years have been real tough with that kind of stuff. But coming through it now, I'm back in the gym training and getting focused again, which helps. So I've just started my business back up, and I've got a few people I'm working with at the moment, having some great results, and I think when I say life coach, people ask me what that means. It's your life experience. So I'm a barber by trade. So I've dealt with people for 40 years.
I was looking at your hands before.
Yeah,
so
they're very soft, right?
Yeah.
I feel that, mate. Still. I now work for a plumbing company, and I'm the operations manager, and do a lot of HR stuff and work with people. So I think it's my people skills and being able to connect with people. And everyone I've worked with, there's that connection, and you're able to, because I'm not a psychologist, I haven't studied, I was pretty shit at school because I thought I was going to be a comedian. That didn't work. Not that funny. But it's sharing your life experience, and regardless of whether that's business, I do a bit of business coaching with a few people, and I think it is just purely that. It's sharing your experiences. It's understanding, like I said before, as you get older, you mature and you look at your life and you can look back and say, well, this worked and this didn't work. And, I've got 3 beautiful kids, and, they've all done really well in their lives. And, I was married for a long time. I was with the same woman for a long time. So I think I'm pretty experienced at relationships. And then, with the boxing, you learn about, how to connect with people and how to get the best out of people. And I think by doing it, that has helped me create this business. And that's what, I feel like I'm meant to teach and I'm meant to help. That's my role in my life. So, I love being in front of people and teaching. I'm very honored to be able to help this guy with his school, and, I help other people with their boxing and stuff. And, I'm a coach facilitator. I'm running a course tomorrow. That's how we met. So for me, it's about teaching and educating and passing on your knowledge. And I think if you can do that, that to me is the greatest thing. It's because when I learned about boxing, I couldn't box. I grew up with migraines, so I couldn't get punched in the head. That's why I went into martial arts. But, no one taught me anything. I'm self-taught. So which was countless hours of watching boxing, and I never watched coaches. I just watched fighters. And then I started to realize that if I don't pass on my knowledge to this guy, if I died tomorrow, it goes with me. If I pass it on to this guy, the legacy continues. It doesn't have to be my legacy, but it's boxing. So, that's the thing for me. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life is help people. I think that's that's what I'm here
That's
for.
your impact.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed
That's
to
your purpose.
That's what I'm supposed to do. So
Oh, that's great.
I think as a mentor, you always strive to bring out the best in, whoever you're mentoring. And I've watched Nudge firsthand work with, his professional boxers, his amateur boxers, coaches like us who have come to him and want to learn. And the way he connects with different people is, it's not a blanket system. Everybody gets, the hard truths and he can have the tough conversations if he has to, like he had to have with Darby. And he can also, steer us in the right direction with a bit of loving and nurturing. So, Nudge, I appreciate you being here
thank
today,
you, guys.
mate,
It's been
and
great.
coming down.
Oh, thanks for that. I think a lot of people get value out of this, especially like this running thing is blowing up. People just hearing about those stories, I think it's going to be a great episode.
Well, there's a movement at the moment
Yeah.
in Western Sydney with run clubs, like down south.
They're
You
huge.
guys are doing great down south. There's heaps down there. In the city, there's, over 50 run clubs. In Western Sydney, not so much. We don't have the scenic routes, I guess, to run by. And every time you hear a
Highway.
gunshot, you got to think. But
Highway,
Darby's
highway.
proven that you don't have to run on any particular track. You just got to run.
Highway or a loop.
So Western Sydney run clubs, especially around here, are starting to grow, which is great. So we wanted to have people on the podcast, for different reasons. We wanted business owners to come on to share their story. We wanted, people in relationship specialists. We wanted life coaches. We wanted marketing coaches. Our goal was to bring great stories on. And today, Darby, I think you smashed it, man. I really, I think yours resonates with many around resilience, around mental toughness.
I think even just keep having Nudge here as well
Absolutely.
to hear both sides of that. You telling us one side and then hearing the story of the other person that was there to give that
Bringing
motivation.
it as a full circle.
So good work to you for bringing these guys together.
Thank you for having us.
Have
I
you
really
been
appreciate it.
on anything talking together?
Yeah. So like all over my Instagram, you can find a lot of the information that I've done. So all of the stuff that I'm doing coming up and previous stuff that I've done is all on my Instagram, Darby_Maguire. And it can all be found there. There's some cool stuff on there. A lot of the photos came out really cool from that run. And moving forward, it'll all be posted there. But thanks for having us. It's been great. And it's been amazing.
Well, we'll flick it over to Ben. We got some rapid fire questions. We usually rack them up.
This is where it gets nitty gritty, bro.
We wanna hear more of
that
you
run was
outside
tough.
running.
We're going to show you. Nah,
Yeah.
look, we're just going to shoot some questions off just to get to know Darby on a personal level. You just fire back.
Nudge
Oh,
and
are we going to get to know Nudge as
What
well?
you want to do with
Yeah,
next
yeah,
man? I'm down.
All right, answer for answer, right?
All right, ready?
okay, here we go.
Okay, so you
They
both
might not
have
be
to-
so close after this. We'll see.
All right, ready? Beach or country?
Beach.
Beach.
Oh, they both live down the south.
Yeah.
That's a stupid question. First car.
A Mazda 3.
Suzuki Caravan.
Hey,
I
yeah.
wanted one of them.
You're an idiot.
Favorite sport?
Running.
Boxing.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Beer.
Yep. Favorite cheap meal?
I love sushi. I could eat tons of sushi. It's not really a cheap meal.
Yeah.
But,
What is a cheat meal? Because that's what
as a runner, you can get away with eating like
Yeah, doesn't Ned Brockman
There's
eat like
nothing
meat
to-
pies and stuff?
cheese and bacon rolls.
bacon
This guy
rolls.
lived on pizza every night.
Yeah.
Cheap meal.
Yeah. What's your favorite cheap meal, Nudge?
Like bad stuff or?
Yeah.
I'd have to go with KFC nuggets.
I would
KFC
smash a
nuggets.
Newtown.
KFC nugget.
Yeah, KFC nuggets. There you go.
Yeah.
Newtown kebab.
dirty kebab.
Yeah.
Bucket list, something you want to do, man.
I kind of do my bucket list items already.
Outside running.
Holidays, travel.
I really want to go to Iceland.
Nice.
Yeah.
I also really want to do the Moab 240 over in America.
Oh, I'm reading about that with David Goggins' book right now.
Really want to do the Moab 240.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a goal.
That's insane. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's 40. So the one that I'm doing, the 200 miler, the Delirious West, will be like a good prep for that.
Yeah.
That'll be 40 more miles, but it's
Yeah, well.
Nudge?
240 miles.
Bucket list. I think ultimately for me, I want to work the corner in a world title fight. I've been close.
Yeah.
I got a world title eliminator, but I want a world title. Even if it's not my guy or girl, I want that. That to me, that's the bucket list. That's
I've seen working with Chanel.
Yeah. We already asked that one. It was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Let's go pet peeve, something that really annoys you.
People who say they can't. That pisses me off.
Hey, man, then about the running, that's all I've been talking about.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't
No,
piss me off. It doesn't piss me off. But like, I wish, like, I always try to say this. I wish I could like convince someone that they can. That would be. That is. I'll reverse that pet peeve. My pet peeve reverse would be that I wish I could convince people that they can.
We have a rule in the dojo that you're not allowed to say the word can't.
Yeah.
So nobody's allowed to say the words I can't. I can, I will, and I'll try.
Yeah.
Always.
Can I add to that? Not I can't. How can I?
Yeah.
Always find a way. I think.
Pet peeve.
You got a nudge?
Yeah, I do. This has been me for the last probably year. It's people believing what they hear from someone else about someone else.
So social media.
Yeah, I know. Right?
It really is.
Yeah.
That to me, like the last couple of years has been that to me is just the
Well, I also probably knowing a lot of people and stuff, and then also getting older, relationships get lost.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's like, and the thing for me is, and I say this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone, but I often say there's no men anymore. My generation's done, man.
Yeah.
Like if I've got an issue with him, he'll kick my ass physically, but no, I'm not scared of no one.
Yeah.
I'll come see him. We'll sort it out. If I have to fight him, I will. But I don't want to fight no one anymore. But dude, if I've said something to upset you, or you believe what you've said, come and see me.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen
Talk
anymore.
about it. Yeah.
So that's my that definitely is my
Interesting one. Interesting. At a party, do you dance or are you a people watcher?
Oh, I love a good people watch. I love a dance. I love a boogie.
Boogie?
I haven't seen that side of Darby yet, but I
Challenge accepted.
I dance if I've drank a bit, but I'm definitely
Got
getting
this dance called the Nudge Bush.
Yes, the nudge bush. I definitely get into a bit of trouble off my kids and then Drea for people watching.
For people watching?
Yeah, it's not good. I don't mean perving by that.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, you got to blink. You just got to blink and you'll be fine.
No.
What's a guilty pleasure TV show that no one knows you watch?
Oh, I don't really watch TV, but my go-to is Seinfeld.
Oh, bet.
I've watched it a million times. Though.
You've got to watch it.
You have fucking time, bro, to watch TV?
I don't really. Yeah.
But if he's raw dogging a 900-kilometer run, he's not watching TV.
Oh my.
That stupid cartoon. You watch.
What is it?
That cartoon that you guys watch.
Where? Which?
And Amy, sometimes you got it on.
Oh yeah, Big Mouth. That one's an interesting show.
Unusual superstition.
Ooh. Unusual superstition. My parents come from Egypt. So my dad had this thing with owls. It was bad. So that's sort of, it doesn't really freak me out, but if I ever see an owl, it's like, I think of my dad and how much he ate them. So probably that.
I don't think I've ever seen an owl in Australia.
Yeah.
Mine would be toe socks. I have to run in toe socks.
As in individual.
I have a sock sponsor.
Yeah.
Rel Footwear. And like if I'm running anything over 20 Ks, I can't do it in normal socks.
Yeah,
Toe socks.
I think that's
That's
justified.
where you're going wrong.
Yeah. I'll try that.
All right. And if you're a snack, what would you be?
Probably like a Cliff Bar.
Where we get these questions from?
Yeah, what was it?
Probably a Cliff Bar.
Off the cliff.
Yeah.
Off the cliff bar.
I'm going to say lemon meringue pie.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
The
right.
rest are good. I'm wrapped up. Yeah,
All right, we've got one
go.
last question and we'll hand it over to both of you guys to answer. I'll start off with you,
Yeah.
Nudge.
Okay, here we go.
If you had 3 people to bring out to dinner, and these 3 people could be anywhere, anyone in the history of humanity or your present day, who would those 3 people be and why?
That's
Same goes to you, Darby, but you go after.
Yeah.
that's a mad question.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Darby's got time to think about it. You?
Yeah, I don't. Okay, one would be Muhammad Ali, definitely. Muhammad Ali, I think. I've just finished reading a book, The Happiest Man on Earth. He was the Jewish dude who went through the Holocaust. He was 101 years old. He passed away a few years ago. I think his name was Eddie Jaku, I think you pronounce it. I'd have dinner with him. And the third one would be Jesus. Yeah.
Done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Pretty cool table. Dubs?
I reckon Ned Brockman would be one. Love the guy. Whew. I mean, Goggins is pretty standard.
You can still say it.
He's a
It would be
standard
pretty
one.
sick.
It'd be pretty cool. I think there's like a few people. Hey, I honestly think like people like Nudge and my coach Joe. Like honestly, I don't really like. I don't know. I feel like this whole running thing's made me realize that everyone's human. Everyone does the same shit, and everyone goes through the same stuff. So I think that like some of the coolest people are right in your corner.
So you've met.
Sorry if that was a boring answer.
No.
know.
Oh, you've met. You've met Brockman. Have you met Goggins yet, or have
Nah,
you?
never met Goggins.
Okay,
I've
so
met
sorry.
Brockman.
Sorry to take
Yeah.
the spotlight. Go.
No. I've met Ned, but never met Brockman. I mean, never met Goggins. But yeah, I don't know. I think.
So that's on your
like-
bucket list, probably.
Yeah. Like I think meeting him would be pretty cool. Like I reckon that'd be pretty awesome. It's definitely not something that I actively like think about.
Right.
I think like again, like I'm being honest, and my answer would have been very different probably like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I probably would have had a list of people like DJs and whatever.
Yeah.
But now honestly, like the people who I am closest with right now, I'd be more than happy to go get a feed
Yeah.
with them.
That's a good answer.
That's
We
just
saw
very
power
mature.
gel packs.
Yeah.
we had the opportunity, and you did prior to this, but we went to a conference in the city with Goggins, and Ned was actually one of the guest speakers.
Yeah.
Remember that day when
Well,
he
that's
came out?
that's
That was
how
the
I
first
found
time.
about him. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that was the
He was
first
probably
time.
the only other good.
And you know what? His fucking story that day killed it. It was actually better than Goggins.
I was.
Yeah.
He
He
got the
smashes
crowd
it. He's,
involved, the way he spoke. Like,
he's
he's just
such
a
a cool
good
guy.
Aussie guy, man. And you just think, what a legend for doing that, man.
He's a mad dog. He he's really cool. I met him. He when he came up to me and he like congratulated me when he came down to Wollongong, and he congratulated me before I got to say hello to him, and that was like
That's sick.
that was a peak moment right there for me. But yeah, it was really cool. Like even that, that
That's pretty
was
sick.
I always had a feeling I'd end up crossing paths with him.
You will, man. You will.
No, I think Goggins is not that far in the future if you keep doing what you're doing.
From a guy that's met David Goggins, took photos and had a conversation with David Goggins. He's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
Paid $1,000 for the.
I didn't pay anything.
If anyone's ever going to meet him sometime soon, let me know and
Yeah,
I'll
let
tag
Darby
him.
know.
Yeah, love that.
Oh, but as someone saying it,
Hey,
what were you saying?
what was I saying?
He's a pretty cool guy.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
But so are you, Darby.
Thanks.
So are you,
Yeah.
Nudge. And
That's what I mean. Like, I mean,
Ben and Ron.
yeah.
Thanks,
It's,
Thanks, man.
Well, far out. This was a massive episode, and it was a really
Yeah.
cool one. And I just realised we're an hour and 30 minutes in.
Yeah, our
It
camera's
sounds like-
about to go. Everything's going to blow up soon,
Yeah,
but
this was.
I really
insane.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I can only
And I'm not a runner.
imagine how many people would have got a lot of value out of listening to this and just pushing through with.
appreciate that a lot.
We should set the raw dog challenge in terms
Yeah.
of how far you can run without no music, no YouTube, no nothing.
That's true. Actually, I have a feeling next
Do like
time
a
you'll see-
10K raw dog challenge.
Because they had the ones where you travel.
Yeah, the
The
flights.
flights. See how long you can raw dog.
Yeah.
With not watching anything.
Just on the plane.
Just sit on the plane and just look straight.
Yeah.
So maybe we can set
Maybe
a
we do
challenge.
that,
Smash
yeah.
that one. We can smash that.
Well, he could.
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening to another episode. This was a great one. And one last thing, actually, we do before finishing up.
Before the next thing.
Before the next thing.
That's it.
On 3, look into the camera and say, let's connect. And that's how we finish our episode.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
1, 2, 3.
Let's connect.
Yeah, baby.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We made this a free platform because we want to educate and add value to your business world. All we ask for as a payment is to hit the subscribe button and share it with people that you know would benefit from this conversation. If you want to elevate your connections, we'll see you at the next Connect MacArthur event.